Now call this regular meeting of the Jacksonville City Council to order. I want to welcome everyone who's come out tonight for the meeting and all those who will be watching on G10 television. To begin with, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Pro Tem Jerry Bittner, followed by the invocation by our City Attorney John Carter. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we pause once again to give you thanks.
Thank you, Lord.
To give you thanks for this day,
Thank you, Lord.
to give you thanks for our lives and for the opportunity to live together in this city of Jacksonville.
Yes.
You have gifted each of us with the opportunity to see a new year.
Yes, Lord.
A new year that is full of challenges and that will be full of opportunities.
Thank you, Lord.
Individually and corporately, we will see those as the city of Jacksonville. We pray your guidance and your direction upon our mayor and upon our council and upon each of us as individuals as we address these opportunities and challenges. We pray tonight for our military who are serving us here and around the world, many in harm's way. Be with them.
Yes, Father.
And as always, continue the guidance and direction you give our mayor and our council.
In the name of Jesus.
In your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I have a presentation to make, and this time I've asked Pastor Chris Phillips to meet me up front here. And any of your delegation from River of Life Church that you'd like to bring it up? Wow. I do. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Come on, we family. Yeah, come on.
Since 2006, the River of Life Church has generously made an annual donation to the City of Jacksonville. Their donations have assisted tremendously by providing scholarships for children to participate in summer enrichment programs and summer day camp programs, which included field trips. These funds also provided staff supervision, camp shirts, book bags, school supplies, hygiene products, food, arts, and crafts, and board games, and various outdoor supplies such as balls, jump ropes, and many more. The donation from River of Life makes a huge difference in the lives of these children who otherwise might not have had the opportunity to participate in these programs. The city cannot emphasize enough the value of providing a safe, enriching, and enjoyable location for the children of this community. Investing in our youth reduces crime and improves academic achievement for students, and the donation from the church helps accomplish that. The city extends our sincere thanks to Pastor Chris and the members, all the members of the River of Life Church for all they've done and continue to do through annual donations towards helping our local children through our recreation program. Okay. And you wanted to make a presentation.
Yes, I do. Excuse me for just a moment.
I started reading. I started reading. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and it's our pleasure to be able to once again be here to present to the city a check for these programs that you just described. And it's a check for $15,000, and so we're very, very pleased to be able to do that once again, and thankful that we've been able to do it every year since 2006, and plan to continue to do it until Jesus comes. Amen. So, there you go.
Thank you, Pastor Chris. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all.
Great of you to do that.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Yep.
On behalf of the city and the Recreation and Parks Department, these kids worked on this artwork. It was a STEM project.
Okay,
And we
awesome.
also have a scrapbook for all of you to enjoy with all sorts of photos, letting you know all the great things that they did all summer. We appreciate you so much, and the kids appreciate you so much. So thank you for all your support. And I
Thank you
will let
very
have
much.
that. Thank you.
There we go. And we will display this on Sunday and let our whole church family get a look at it. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's our pleasure.
One more thing. I'd like to also thank you and your congregation for hosting that wonderful concert right before Christmas. It was just it touched the hearts of everybody there.
The Second Marine Corps,
The
Second Division Marine Corps Band. Yeah, it's awesome.
It was great. And thanks to you, we got to feel that, like I said, that I told the people that night, if you didn't have the Spirit when you came, you ain't gonna get it. If you didn't get it while you're there, you ain't gonna get it. But I think everybody there got it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's too bad Christmas can't be every day, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'd all be so much better off, wouldn't we?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
God bless you. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's just a wonderful gesture on part of the church, the congregation, Pastor Chris. It really does give that recreation program a boost as far as being able to accommodate the children that, otherwise would not be able to enjoy the things they're doing over there. So that brings us to our first section of public comment for the evening. And I'm going to go down the list here. We have a list of people signed up. And the first person on the list is Kirsten Parker. If you would please, if you would please give your name and address to the clerk.
Yes. Greetings, council. My name is Kirsten Parker, and this is my husband, Johnny Parker. My address is 403 Terp Landing Lane, Jacksonville, 28546. Okay. Greetings, council. Covenant Case Management Services is a for-profit human services organization that provides an array of services to individuals with intellectual developmental disabilities. I would like to establish a day support program in Onslow County. The day support program facilitates learning and life skills, as well as increasing functioning in the area of self-care, sensory/motor development, socialization, daily living skills, communication, community living, and community integration. Our day support program would offer weekly music therapy, art classes, but not limited to a modern computer lab for all participants to use, sensory rooms, and a monthly structured activity calendar that will provide each person with what is called a meaningful day. Covenant Case Management Services considers our day support program to be one without walls. The participants would also have the opportunity to volunteer in the community on a weekly basis and have multiple outings every week. To summarize, we offer individualized programs to match the unique needs of every participant. We would be honored if you had any empty office building or space that you could donate as in kind that we could occupy and provide this needed service in your area. It would also be an honor and privilege to serve the great people in the Jacksonville, Onslow County. Thank you for kindly listening.
I was also remiss at the beginning of, during the public comment period, you have 3 minutes in which to make your comments, and there's a timer that we have to go by. So next, I have Joe Peffley. Your name and address for the clerk, please.
Joe Peffley, and our business address is 2099 Lejeune Boulevard.
Yes, sir.
So I've been a business owner here in Jacksonville for 35 years. Right now, we own OCC on Lejeune Boulevard. We've been there for 22 years now. We got a visit from the code enforcement officer on Friday saying that we were in violation of signage and displays. Well, the display they're talking about, we've had out there for 20 years now. And what's happened is he gave me a thing, and it's the violation he states that we're in violation of is outdoor display area shall not occur within 100 feet of the right of way. Well, when that property was built, and I'm the owner of the property as well, Lejeune Boulevard was way out further than it is now. Over time, it's gotten bigger and wider, and they added the median. At first, the right-of-way was 15 feet into the parking lot. Now it's 50 feet. So the right-of-way comes to my sidewalk. I have 5 parking spots. All of them are in the right-of-way. Well, when you are coming from the north at 45 miles an hour, you have a blink of an eye to see my business. I mean, a blink. My property is 50 feet wide, so I have a 50-foot section. If I don't have something to grab the attention of people driving by, my business is going to close. And a big problem is from the start of Jacksonville, which is really Northeast Creek, to the first traffic light where High Point Furniture is. Sit and sleep, High Point. There's 34 business properties. 16 of those are closed already and empty and vacant and looking decrepit. Here I have a building that we keep our parking lot painted. We keep it striped. We just painted our building this summer. We keep it beautiful. I have, if you've seen my showroom, I probably have one of the prettiest showrooms in all of Jacksonville. We keep it lit up, and I have this one cart that holds wheels, just display wheels. And they say I'm in violation. Well, the state, whether it's the city of Jacksonville or the state of North Carolina, has taken my property. I've got nowhere left to go. So I'm going to ask that law, that code be rewritten for Lejeune Boulevard. We have 0 property left. There's nothing. So maybe 100 feet from right away is a good idea for a lot of businesses. On Lejeune Boulevard, it does not work. It doesn't. I can't, the law says you can't put anything on the sidewalk. Nothing's on my sidewalk. It's not attached to my building. It's not on the sides of my building. It's not in the driveway. It's not in the aisle. The fire chief has been out there. I get annual inspections. That display has never been a problem. He's never had a problem with it. It does not interfere with his access to our building or any kind of emergency vehicle access. So I and some other business owners were asking that law be rewritten, that code be rewritten on Lejeune Boulevard. We need more space out there. What little bit we have has been taken from us over time. So I spoke with the code enforcement officer today, and he said, yeah, he says there needs to be changes out there, because right now we have nothing, and it's becoming less and less as time goes on.
Thank you, duly noted, and I'm going to wait till after the next speaker. Greg Popkin.
How you doing? Greg Popkin, 817 Marine Boulevard, Furniture Plus, and High Point Furniture on Lejeune Boulevard. Joe said it pretty good. He's told us both stores, my store on Lejeune Boulevard and my store on 17, both of them, the codes are way outdated. You can't, what they're trying to enforce, I guess the new city manager is trying to enforce, is just not going to work for the small businesses. When you look down here, the bridge down here, the New River, all the way back up, it's just tight, and there's not enough space. My employees, they send the code enforcement officers out there. My employees now are scared about losing more money every month because they're taking away from, I've got 40 employees between both stores, and now they feel like they're being forced to make less money. You know, we've already got the government cut the economy back. We sure don't need the city of Jacksonville cutting back my employees' income or mine. And I've got my new family coming in. My son and my daughter just came back from college. Each one of them is working in each store. And it's become sort of pitiful that I've been here 46 years out of high school working. And I've done everything right, I feel like. And now I get to this point, and I've got somebody sending a code officer down there like I'm a criminal, you know, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm telling everybody here, I don't like it. Now, I've supported churches, we've supported everybody in this community, and now I feel like I've been turned upside down over nothing. A code that's outdated. I've talked to many people, they keep telling me they're gonna work on this, they're gonna do something. I don't have enough time. I'm running a business, but if I'm gonna have to find some time, Joe told me and a few other, the fellows from Johnson Sugar over at Rose Brothers told me, he said that I could use his name too. I mean, we need to change this, and it needs to be changed now, and we don't need to be forced and being ridiculed by officers coming in and enforcing a $250 a day fine. $250 a day. That $14,000 the guy just gave y'all. I mean, come on. We've been giving this community, my family has gave and gave and gave. And I just do not understand why this is going on now. And I just feel like something needs to change. And I'm asking for y'all to look at this. I'm very upset about it. I'm very upset about the signs. I've been doing the business the right way. I pay my taxes, I pay all my dues, and I do what's right for the community. And I feel like I am getting spit in my face with this. And this code enforcement stuff has got to stop. And he needs to quit sending people down to my store. I'm
That's
tired.
been- I think that's
He
a
needs to
little
stop
bit-
it.
That
Okay.
needs to, you need to have a seat and cool off just a minute.
Okay.
Okay? Let me talk about this for a second. Now, I understand their situation there very, very clearly. If you go down there and look, and I went down on Lejeune Boulevard this very afternoon, and I saw there is no room for, I couldn't distinguish where the right-of-way is, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just one slab of concrete across, or asphalt across there, where you can't really tell where the right-of-way is. And I kind of lean towards what he's saying there. It's just, the roadway grew. The businesses were already there. The roadway grew. Now, I understand that they have to make a living. They want to put signs out there to attract people to their business. But somehow, some way, we need to work on something that's going to allow some type of relief here, because this is a special case here. This isn't just like going down Western Boulevard or anything where you do have sufficient right-of-way. This is an area that has changed over time, and there should be some way. I don't know if we're going to have to go through DOT to change that, but something does need to be done. I agree with Mr. Popkin on this. I think that we need to do something, and same with your area over there on, like I said, on Lejeune Boulevard. I rode down Lejeune Boulevard this afternoon, and I saw exactly what you were talking about. Starts all the way from the bridge all the way into town just about. And like I say, that was a two-lane road at one time when those businesses were put out there. Am I not right? Yes, sir. Okay. So, you know, they were two-lane roads, and now they're what, 6? It's kind of, you know, we got to do something to try to work with these folks. You know, I can understand, I have to sympathize with them. They're losing business left and right to these big chains that come in here and, you know, that can put up these humongous advertising signs, and, you know, they go on the internet and order furniture there. I don't want to put that out in the atmosphere too much, but, you know, they're kind of at a disadvantage. And like I said, I sympathize with what they're saying, and we need to work on that. If there's anything possibly that can be done, I want it done. Now, I know for a fact the city manager has not sent anybody out there. Our code enforcement officers, they're out there riding around, and they see these things that they identify as codes. You know, they do what they're doing their job, but we need to make, like you say, we need to change the ordinance or the law or the restrictions on that somehow, some way.
Because there can't be one mold that fits all in this aspect. I
Right,
mean, it has to
exactly.
be separated per area.
Yeah, I mean,
Need a little intel, I think, on what we can do, given that it's DOT designation. What do we as a city have the authority to do? Can we do an overlay there? How far can we take this before DOT will, drop the hammer? So if you could find out some information for us, bring it back so we can know what we legally can do, that'd be very helpful.
I'd love to do a workshop.
we need to put it as a workshop item. That'd be a good idea.
DOT representative here, the district engineer, someone to speak on their behalf, because it is DOT right away we're talking about.
Well, I want them to fully understand the predicament and the problem that they have created also. You know, like I said, expanding the roadway, has kind of actually encroached on their,
Wonder if we could get a moratorium on enforcing the fines as well as enforcing that until we come to some resolution.
I think we get the message, Mr. Warden. I believe we can act accordingly. Till we get further information for council.
anyway, this is a situation that needs to be cleared up. Okay. All right, next we have Melanie Marzette.
Is at 403 Alta Vista Loop. Okay. There will be times when standing up against discrimination will place a target on your back. All too often, management will believe that it's in their best interest to ignore your complaint, whitewash your complaint, or get rid of you as a problem. No matter what position you hold, supervisor, director, manager, or attorney, it's your job to be impartial, meaning unbiased and fair. Setting your personal feelings aside is a must in order to get to the truth. What happens when an employee complains about unfair evaluations, write-ups, interrogations, harassment over and over and over again, year after year after year? Do you continue to ignore their complaints? What happens when your supervisor costs you thousands of dollars in overtime wages and you report it, however, it's ignored? Where do you go to complain about police officers that were sent to your home to drop off an unsealed, unimportant letter while neighbors and children watch wondering why? What happens when your disability is being used against you? I served my country and my community well. I never lost sight of my responsibilities. Unfortunately, others did. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a must, not an option. The way that I've been treated over the past several years, because I filed a formal complaint against Susan Baptist, has been horrific. And the fact that your city manager and city attorney felt it was okay for them to send 2 police officers to my home with an unsealed envelope that absolutely meant nothing was, in my opinion, an intimidation scare tactic. I've been harassed, I have been interrogated, and the reason that I got fired in the first place is because they found out that I was recording them. And you need to hear these recordings because they're horrific, the way that I've been treated. Susan Baptist is the most unethical supervisor I've ever had in my life. And because you may not believe it, I didn't ask you to believe it, I asked you to look into it. They used my disability against me. I tried for almost 3 years, even before that, when Dr. Woodruff was here. People of color, we do not have any representation when it comes to discrimination, because all the top management is white. And something has to change. We cannot be okay with that. And when I file my complaints, I want them to take the same due diligence into looking into my complaints as they did with Susan Baptist, was all her stuff was filled with lies. And all I needed was to have a sit down with me, her, and her immediate supervisor. I tried that with Dr. Woodruff. That was a no. Joshua Ray said that he would, it never happened. Something is wrong with this situation. Dr. Washington, in a workshop asked, what do you do with the employee that has a supervisor that does not like them and take an eval? What's the recourse with that? Why hasn't it been an opportunity for me to sit down with Susan Baptist and her immediate supervisor? Why are we allowed to, why do you all allow her to continue her behavior? Because it's not just me that's suffering in recreation. There's a whole lot of us suffering. And I told Dr. Woodruff and I told Joshua Ray that black women in general working for the city can be treated horribly. He said he would look into it. He said he was going to interview. I don't know if that's happened. I know the people that I spoke to, it never happened. I've been here 24 years and was fired. This man lost his credentials, and whatever story he told you all was able to still stay and remain your city manager. He's been here 2 years. At 24 years, you mean I don't get the benefit of the doubt? And if you think that it's okay to continue to treat us any kind of way, I'm telling you, I'm not going to let it go, because the corruption and discrimination that goes on with the city, it needs to be an open investigation, and I won't stop until it happens. Thank you.
Yes.
We had a conversation in one of our workshops recently, and I keep on bringing up the whole idea of cultural competency. We're not good at that, and I'm gonna keep on repeating it. We're not good at it. I told you when you all started talking about this training that you all have now implemented, I told you the guy disrespected me. So if you got a guy that's peddling a training and he disrespected me, how should I feel about the way he's trained? Dr. Washington has brought up the National League of Cities and their training, and my thing was just look at it. If not theirs, somebody else's. But you got to get someone that understands DEI. I've heard several complaints over the years. I've heard about young men being stopped, and it wasn't just the young men themselves. It was, a matter of fact, a young white woman that told me this. Our young men being stopped, and then after they're stopped, they're searched for no reason. There's something that was really disturbing that did go on the internet recently. The whole process concerned me. And my thing about it, and I love what River of Life done, because it's about our future. Most of what we do is about the future. So we don't start working on it and fixing things now. Our children, I don't have children, I don't have grandchildren, but a lot of you all do. And if we don't start dealing with some of these problems now, they're gonna be dealt with later. And I hate to say how it might be dealt with, but it's gonna be dealt with. So we gotta try to fix it now. We have an opportunity to do that. You know, I love Jacksonville. You know, I told you before about what happened with my grandfather as I was growing up and things I had to witness. I told you about the fact that I left here, and a lot of those things from then was the reason I didn't want to return, but I did. Best thing that ever happened in my life, because I got to spend 13 years with the most wonderful woman that actually was on this earth. But she taught me how to treat people. She taught me how to love everybody. And that's what I bring. That's why I serve. You know, people get concerned about titles and all that. That's not me. Like I tell folks, my best title was Avon's baby and Chuck's little brother. You know, because that says about who I am and the community that I grew up in, you know? This is our Jacksonville. Most of us, we're actually from here and grew up here. But I would hate to see things getting torn apart because things aren't being dealt with. And we have a legacy going back to when Georgetown got blown up, that things never got fixed. So everybody started this exodus out of Jacksonville that was black. I was one of them. I didn't know exactly why, but it was in my head that I can't stay here. I can't stay here. And for the longest, I felt that I couldn't come back. But we need to figure out how to deal with things. We might have issues with the way people respond to us. That's why I said we got to deal with cultural competency, because all the time it's not their attitude, it's just a part of their personality. you know? So, and that's not just black and white. That's white folks dealing with white folks. That's black folks dealing with black folks. We don't know how to treat each other because it seems like every time somebody needs to step on somebody else to feel better about themselves. And one thing I love about the DEI workshops, it makes all of us look inside of ourselves. I've learned that, you know, that these things, I grow from them every time we have it. So we need to look at that. We need to talk about some of these things because they've been brought up more than once. You know, I can't erase the fact that I knew Melanie way before I got on city council. And I knew a lot of things that she worked and did out in Sandy Run Apartments. I know she's good with children because I went over to Jack Amiette to deal with that. So, yeah, this bothers me. It shakes me. But we need to work on it, folks. Mayor. That's the vet.
So I wanted to piggyback off Mr. Jackson. When this council met back in December of last month, we had a retreat, and the council, well, actually, Mr. Ray presented to the council that he wanted to procure the third option as a training for council city staff with regards to racial equity. And I still believe at this point that it's an inappropriate training because it's really not a training with the expertise level of working with elected officials, working with municipal employees in terms of policies and procedures and practices that are created by elected officials and implemented by staff. I talked about the fact that the city of Jacksonville is a sister city with the National League of Cities that has the race equity leadership training. I talked about the North Carolina League of Municipalities that has the direct training for its towns and villages based off the National League of Cities. But what I didn't talk about is the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill School of Government. As a matter of fact, sometimes when council is struggling with legal issues in the implementations, Mr. Carter, our illustrious mayor, Mayor Phillips, our city attorney will often say, I will need to check with the School of Government to get their guidance. But the UNC Chapel Hill, one of the things that I like about the School of Government, they have courses specifically for elected officials, specifically for senior leadership, and they also have courses for the lay public. Many of these courses, particularly for elected officials and employees, there is a monetary attachment to it. But more often than not, the classes, the foundational classes for the lay public is free. There has been conversations about North Carolina Bill Senate 364 and the way that it relates to talk about diversity, equity, and training. But that particular law is pretty much geared towards higher education staff as opposed to state staff. I asked council in an email to have just one person to support me, to have Mr. Ray and his staff, just to bring us a presentation about various different types of training. And no one on this council supported me. No one supported me to have Mr. Ray and his staff to give us a presentation on January's city council or the workshop. Stories that Ms. Marzant just presented is not going to stop. They're going to continue. And this council may not have created laws that are affecting our citizens, but we have the power to right the wrongs of the past. If anyone was living here in 1986 in the city of Jacksonville, we only had 6 African-American firefighters on the fire department, and an EEOC lawsuit was filed. And you know why it was filed? Well, there was a former firefighter who later became a city councilman for Ward 4, James Smith. And in his testimony, he talked about when he was hired, one of the first questions he was asked, well, how do you feel about being called a racial slur? Just let that permeate with you just for a moment. There was only one room in the back of the fire station where only one African American could sleep because the rooms were segregated, and it was called the ghetto. Now, that's a story that's out on the internet. I did not make this up. Assistant fire chief would use the N-word as his everyday vocabulary. And the problems of 1986, depending on where you are, whether overt or covert, it's here. But let me tell you something good. You see that gentleman sitting right there? Stand up, former Senator Harry Brown. Can you please stand up for me, sir? Let me tell you how a good partnership looks. I'm an African-American woman. Oh, did you sit back down, sir? Stand up again so we can see you. He's a white male, okay? When I was doing my doctoral studies at North Carolina A&T, I ran into a roadblock, not because it was me, it was because of the roadblock of the college. And the college wanted to continue for me to pay money while I was treading water. I had to call that gentleman to mediate for me, because I had done all that I can do. And there was no reason why they should have been holding up my graduation. That man, do you see him? He looks nothing like me. We're from 2 totally different worlds. But I was able to call on somebody who did not look like me. And what Ms. Marzant is saying, she needs someone that she can call on to help her. And that's what it's going to take. This is a caring community. We have people from so many diverse backgrounds. Mr. Popkins just eloquently explained to us, his family is moving back home. His children is moving back home. He wants his children to be able to carry on the legacy, to carry out the family business, to have a job. And you don't think that people of color don't want that for themselves? We all want that. Right. Is Senator Lazaro still here?
No.
He's no longer here. A couple of years ago, he lost his son to an opioid overdose. I can't imagine what that feels like. But prior to that, all of the laws and what Senator Lazaro stood for, he was simply just our Mayor Pro Tem, our Representative Ward 3, who happens to be a father. But the moment that his son closed his eyes in death, he is now a father who is a lawmaker. Because you know why? When it's your DNA, when it's personal to you, you will stand up to the plate, not to do what you think should be done, but you do what is right, what is fair, and what is just, and it's never negotiated. Mr. Warden last week said, this is not a racist council. You better believe it. So now I am asking this council to stand with me and let's examine other options. UNC Chapel Hill is right in our back door. It has the best options for this training that we are seeking. We can't right every wrong of the past. I can't use a cuss word because I don't want to be fined by the FCC. But we can start to address what's going on and make a change one day at a time.
You done?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Beverly McAleer, are you still here? Oh, there you are. Okay. One quick thing before you start talking. I know you signed up for this Drummer Kellum Road situation. Can you wait until item number 12 comes up? That way, what you have to say will be worked into the record on that particular.
Yeah, and that, they may answer, we have more questions than we actually do concerns.
I'm going to give you a
really.
chance when it comes up, okay? If you'll bear with us. Okay, council, we have adoption of minutes and consent items. We have minutes from January 9th, 2024 workshop, October 10th, 2022, November 21st, 22, August 3rd, 2023, December 20th, 2023, and the city council budget retreat minutes. Entertain a motion to adopt those and the consent items. I think it's 1 through 8.
Move approval to adopt the minutes as presented and consent items 1 through 8.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we have a quasi-judicial hearing number 9, and this is a special use permit and type 3 site plan for a telecommunications tower located at 221 Merle Avenue. And Justin Smith will be presenting this item. Justin. You swear that...
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Why am I calling you Justin for? Jeremy, I know your name is as good as mine. Do you swear that the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And this time, we will close the regular council meeting, open up the public hearing in this matter. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Agenda item 9 is a special use permit and type 3 site plan submitted by Duke Energy. This is for a proposed 90-foot telecommunications tower. It would be 99 feet if you include the 4-foot lightning rod that's proposed on top of it. Before you is an ortho photograph of the location at the back of Circle Drive Apartments and its address of 221 Merle Avenue. This property is currently zoned residential multifamily high density, and within this zoning district, telecommunication towers requires a special use permit. Before you is the site plan. Let me see if I can find the tower. These particular plans with the tower, they're so small that, it's difficult. If media could turn on the drawing, I will circle it for you. But specifically about this tower, it is what they call a Cambion tower. Duke is not proposing to have any co-locations on it. This is specifically for their internal network to use in emergency situations to communicate through their cloud system to other sites throughout their electrical grid. Now, that does not mean they couldn't allow co-location. That is not their intent at this time. Once media turns on the highlight, I will circle it for you. At its November 13th, 2023 meeting, the planning board, along with staff, is recommending approval of this request with findings of fact A through G being found in the affirmative and that the project offers a valuable service to the community. Staff, along with Hal Kitchen, the attorney for Duke Energy, and representatives from Duke Energy, stand ready to answer any questions that the board may have.
Is there any questions of Jeremy?
How tall is this tower, Mr. Smith?
With
Did
the
you-
lighting rod, it would be 99 feet tall. That's just under the 100-foot, that restriction of the flight path overlay district of 100 feet.
95 feet with it.
Okay.
Can you expand your description of what co-location?
Co-location means other antennas from AT&T, Sprint, Verizon. I say Sprint, I don't even know if they're an actual functioning cell phone company anymore, but they can mount their antennas on that. But it is our understanding through working with TEP, Tower Engineering, and Duke Energy, that is not their intent to allow antennas, additional antennas on this facility. It is specifically set up to bolster their internal communications along their system.
But if they decided to rent those towers out, would they have, or those antennas out, would they have to come back to us?
No,
or
that's a part of our approval for telecommunications would allow co-location. In fact, our ordinance specifically pushes for co-location, and towers are only your next alternative, new towers.
Yeah.
So if this were to be approved and they erect it, then any carrier would need to explore an option of co-locating on this facility. Duke has all right to say, no, not on our facility. And then they could come back using our consultant to discuss with the city, we can't get on there, on that tower because they won't let us. They may look for a new site, new building, or a new tower.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? So you have someone from Duke that wishes to speak on this item?
They don't wish to speak, they're just ready to answer any questions that the
Okay.
board
Is there
council may have.
anyone present other than them that want to comment on this? On this item here? Okay. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing on this matter. Council, you're being asked to consider the type A buffer relief in consideration of the proposed request for the tower.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the special use permit and type 3 site plan with the type A buffer based on findings of fact A through G being found in the affirmative, and that this project will advance the public interest.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Next, we have, well, that's not. Next, we have a legislative map amendment, this is number 11, or number 10, excuse me. Jeremy, you're going to be presenting this one, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request submitted by Danny Rose, owner of Jacksonville 4x4. This property is located at 107 Richlands Avenue. Notice the vicinity map before you, the location of Jacksonville 4x4 in the center of the screen and the project site outlined in black. This property, subject to 9, is zoned to residential multifamily. It is bordered to the southeast by property zone corridor commercial, to the north and northwest by property zoned, also zoned residential multifamily low density. And then those properties across Richlands Avenue, zoned residential multifamily low density, and also corridor commercial. These properties right here that I'm highlighting here are all owned by Grace Baptist Church. These properties are all owned by the Days End owners. Before you on the screen is the Camelanias plan that identifies the property as low-density residential. The Grace Baptist Church properties are identified as public institutional, and those properties across Richlands Avenue are identified as neighborhood commercial and future land use. Before you on the screen is the proposed zoning map of what it would look like if the city council were to approve the rezoning of .41 acres located at 107 Richlands Avenue. This went to the Jacksonville Planning Advisory Board in November or December 11th, 2023. And they, along with staff, are recommending that the city council approve this rezoning from residential multifamily low density to corridor commercial with findings of fact A through J being found in the affirmative, and to direct staff to update the CAMA future land use map, and that this rezoning advances the public interest by creating development opportunities. Representatives from John L. Pierce and Associates, the applicant's surveyor, are in attendance, and they, with staff, are happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Council, any questions of Jeremy?
I have one.
Okay.
Would you, on this particular one, would you draw what Grace Baptist Church on this particular item right here?
On this map here?
Yes.
Yes, so
please.
Grace Baptist Church owns all of these properties right here.
All right, and the Days Inn, what is that? I see one across behind the Days Inn.
So, Days Inn owners own all these 4 tracts right there.
So those owns those
Yes.
tracks there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the owner of Jacksonville 4x4 is the applicant for this rezoning.
I'm just trying to get a feel for a buffer for the residents if we made this change to a corridor commercial.
So if it does get rezoned to corridor commercial, this property, once it were to develop, would have to put a 30-foot type A buffer along those property boundaries. And that is definitely not to scale, but there would be a type A vegetative buffer with 6-foot solid fence.
Well, and I was also talking more about the properties themselves are providing a buffer to actual residents in the neighborhood there.
And not to overburden the council with information, but this does kind of follow suit with what we've been doing along North Marine with pushing commercial maybe a lot or two further down some of these side roads. If you recall the rezoning we did for the Dunkin' Donuts expansion, and some other properties that have had interest. It gives these shallow properties that directly on North Marine some more development opportunities, so they can continue to flourish, but at the same time meet our design or our landscape criteria for buffering.
Well, when we, go get with the sign, I think this area needs to be included in that talk too, because that's another thing, was very strict road frontage from this area too, so we include that about the signage, good for the business owners as well.
Okay, any other questions, Jeremy? Okay, thank you, Jeremy. This time we'll recess the regular council meeting, open up the public hearing on this matter. Anyone present wish to speak on this, on behalf of this item? Brian? No, you don't have to swear. You won't even have to swear what you're telling me.
Brian Drummond, 405 Johnson Boulevard, John Pearson Associates. Just if you have any questions.
Any questions of Brian? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
I sat with him in homeroom a whole lot, so he probably needed to swear.
I work for his father. So, anyway, with that, we'll close the public hearing and come back to the regular council meeting, and you're being asked to approve this zoning request, this proposed request.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the rezoning request with the report of findings of facts A through J being found in the affirmative, and direct staff to update the CAMA future land use map accordingly. And this does create more opportunities for development along a commercial corridor that's kind of already surrounded, so it also makes a lot of what I would call horse sense.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. That takes us to item number 11, and this is a legislative map amendment for rezoning from a residential single-family 7 and corridor commercial to residential multifamily high density. This is at Trade Street off the Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the City Council may recall this property as the Tallman Farms tract, located at the intersection of Jacksonville Parkway and Trade Street. If you also recall, this property was in front of the council a few months ago where they were requesting to rezone this particular section, the 30.7 acres to corridor commercial. Since that time, the applicant, prospective buyer, the owners have reconsidered that request and have now come forward with a new request that went to the Jacksonville Planning Advisory Board this past December and is now in front of you tonight. The new request proposes to change the zoning from residential single-family 7/CC of this 30.7 acres, the corridor commercial. Notice that it is bound to the east by properties all zone corridor commercial, to the west by the Jacksonville Parkway, and across the Parkway property that will remain residential single-family 7, and then across Trade Street, more property zone corridor commercial. This bright red on the screen before you is the Campbell Land Use future land use plan that identifies all properties in this immediate area as regional commercial, the highest commercial designation in the land use plan. And before you is their proposal, the proposed rezoning to residential multifamily high density. Since the time that this was in front of the council before, the applicants have subdivided the property appropriately. So now this triangle portion of 30.7, the property across Trade Street and the property across Jacksonville Parkway are now, they're all their own individual properties and no longer one parcel. At its December meeting, the Planning Advisory Board, along with staff, are recommending that the City Council approve this rezoning request, accepting the evaluation found within the staff report that findings of fact A through J have been found in the affirmative, that the rezoning advances the public interest by creating more development opportunities. Representatives of the Tallman heirs are in attendance, and they, along with staff, will be happy to answer any questions.
Quick question, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
There's not going to be a cut onto the parkway for this?
There is a DOT designated cut that's already been pre-established with the construction of the bypass. We will not know that for sure until a proposal comes through. But all indications look that they want to develop more interior to the Trade Street side, closer to the commercial. But again, the access onto the parkway is there through DOT and could happen.
Seems like it'd be a bad place to jump off onto the parkway at, to me.
I would imagine any large-scale multifamily would trip a TIA with DOT, given this is a controlled access facility. If not, there would be some type of improvements that would be necessary. In addition, there is some relocation and movement of Trade Street proposed in the future as well.
I have a question, Mr. Smith. So even with the changes that DOT is going to make, the Tallman family would not incur any costs with regards to that, would they?
No.
Okay. Don't want anything sneaking up, okay.
Any other questions of Jeremy on this item? Thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'll recess the regular meeting, open up the public hearing on this matter. Is there anyone present wishing to speak to this item? Seeing no hands going up, I'll close the public hearing, and Councilor, you're being asked to consider this proposed request for rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the rezoning request, and based on findings of facts A through J being found in the affirmative, and that this advances the public interest by allowing more development opportunities.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, moving on. It's item number 12 on the agenda. This is a rezoning request, map amendment, rezoning residential multifamily low density RMFDLD and corridor commercial to residential multifamily high density at 191 Kellum Road, Drummer Kellum Road and 3163 New Bern Highway. All right. Jeremy, you're back. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, once again. This is a request submitted by Harry and Lisa Brown to rezone 2 tracts of land. Before you on the screen, you'll see currently a portion of this property is in the city limits per annexation. And then there is the residual, the large farm field area in the back, which is zoned residential multifamily low density, that is in our ETJ. They have worked on a recombination plat that would combine those 2 properties, shift it over, and therefore the current existing tract is split zoned, residential multifamily high density, or low density and corridor commercial. Their request is to rezone these two tracts to all residential multifamily high density. Therefore, with it being on part of one property that fronts New Bern Highway, and then the small portion that fronts onto Drummer Kellum, this is the Jacksonville Water Tower right there. That's why it has an address on Drummer Kellum and New Bern Highway. Again, this request is to rezone approximately 29.28 acres from residential multifamily low density and corridor commercial to residential multifamily high density. The planning board heard this at their November 13th, 2023 meeting, and they, along with staff, are recommending approval of this rezoning with findings of fact A through J being found in the affirmative. You can see that the mixed use and medium density residential of the land use plan identification support the rezoning. And this is what the property would look like if you move to approve this rezoning tonight. And again, the planning board and staff found that this rezoning advances the public interest by creating more development opportunities. Representatives of Tidewater and Associates and the applicant are in attendance, and they, along with staff, would be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
At this time, I will recess the regular city council meeting and open up the public hearing on this matter. And as I promised Ms. Beverly McAleer, she would get her opportunity to speak on this matter.
Hi, my name's Beverly McAleer. I live at 145 Drummer Kellum Road, Jacksonville. I really just have some concerns about because my property is right next to the Drummer Kellum Road property, the 191, and my land also backs up to where behind Barker Electric, so behind me and beside me. And I just have questions about how the lot next to me is going to be affected, what the plan is for that, as well as my neighbors. They live next to the water tower, how those two jet out beside each side of the water tower. And also, we're a 2-lane road, and if you have been on Drummer Kellum between 6 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. and say 3 to 6 p.m., we're bottlenecked as it is. So I just have questions about what the plan is for traffic and roadway and school infrastructure, because that would be the Commons School as well as possibly Carolina Forest, and they're already overpopulated. So if this is going to be a residential, is it going to be single-family housing, and what is the anticipated number of residents for that acreage?
Jeremy, could you indicate on that map where her property is, please?
So you believe you have some property up here? This is the water tower.
Uh-huh. I'm right next to the property he's proposing, where
This is
it might be the other map.
Okay. Let's pull up the aerial, though. That may help you identify a little bit.
I'm right next to 191. So where's Elwood? Let's see.
Elwood is right here.
Okay, so the property beside it is what he is proposing. I'm next to it.
Yeah, this property right back here. Yep. So you're right there in front of it on Drummer Kellum.
Right there.
Yep. What I could tell you from a planning standpoint is if they do propose multifamily, which I believe is what they're doing, that they could speak to it, it would require buffering, vegetative buffering between the back of your property, which is a lower density zoning. As far as implications of traffic, Drummer Kellum is a NCDOT road, and so they would take any considerations of whether they're doing and say, hey, you got to do these improvements and whatnot. They've even explored, I think, opportunities maybe tying into the commons somehow. I do not know. Without a specific plan, I can only speak to what ifs and what could be. Now, yes, it is being proposed to be rezoned to residential multifamily high density, and it could be apartments. And that is within their purview. And if they want to offer more, they are in attendance and they can speak to that.
What would trigger a traffic impact analysis?
It's a traffic threshold, I believe, of 100 AM and PM movements.
So there'd have to be a traffic count?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is the proposal for, what would be the plans for the lot next to me and by the water tower on either side of the water tower where they're going to have, what would that be?
So
an entrance?
Right. For this, it could be, they have that lot access there on Drummer Kellum, but for your property specifically, there are no plans. We haven't received any submittals by you.
Well,
or-
not for
Yeah.
me specifically.
Yeah.
I don't plan to
Yeah.
do anything with my property, but I'm saying the property next to me, which is part of the proposal.
Yep.
What, would that be an entrance possibly?
I can speak to that. I've not seen their project. That would be for the developer to weigh in if they want to share that with you.
Okay.
Again, in this particular situation, the council is just considering the rezoning request and the possibilities of what could be in there. And the highest use in the RMF HD district is multifamily.
Okay, and what about buffering? You had mentioned that. Do
Yep,
we know
so-
what the,
If this were to be rezoned, buffers would have to be put in along anything that's a different type of zoning classification.
I think we got somebody who will speak and maybe
Okay.
answer some of your questions. Ms. McAleer,
okay.
was there someone here on behalf of the, Jason?
Jason Houston, 306 New Bridge Street. The area she's talking about, those little leftover pieces of land on either side of the water tower there, neither one of those are actually large enough to put an actual access that we would be able to use to meet city requirements. The only thing we possibly could ever put there would be an emergency connection, just for whatever reason, just to get out to Drummer Kellum. But we have no plans to put any kind of connection out to that road. We have plenty of access in other areas.
Where's the driveway to that property at?
Well, so Mr. Brown owns all the property out to Highway 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so all that could be served internally through, right straight directly out to Highway
Where
17.
the Baker Electric is?
I didn't hear you.
Where it says Baker Electric, he owns all that property, that would be the entrance? Okay.
And all that land right there anyway that we're switching from, or requesting to go from CC to RMF HD is, we can already do apartments and stuff in that zone anyway.
Right.
So, we're just trying to clean it up to make sure that we're staying consistent with everything.
Any questions of Mr. Houston? Okay, thank you, Jason, appreciate it.
It didn't really answer my question about the lot next to me. It's an entrance, is that?
I think Mr. Smith right there will talk to you after the.
That's all I had.
Okay,
We
thank
just
you.
wanted some clarification on what they were planning.
I understand, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak to this matter? Okay, this time I'll close the public hearing on this, and Counselor, you're being asked to approve the zoning request.
Move the rezoning request based on findings of fact A through J. Being found in the affirmative, the rezoning does advance the public interest and creates more development opportunities.
I have seconds all over the place. Okay, any further discussion? Who did the second? Who had the second?
No.
Down that way.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Next is item number 13.
Oh, I thought we did that.
And Jeremy's going to present this item too. This is a rezoning from residential single-family to corridor commercial and residential multifamily at corner Drummer Kellum Road and Ramsey Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city map before you shows proposed 2.292 acres, these 4 lots along Drummer Kellum and the corner of Ramsey, and then the remaining 45.09 acres of property proposed for rezoning from residential single-family 20 to residential multifamily low density and corridor commercial. This was submitted by B&M Developers LLC. Before you is the current zoning of the property, again noting that properties across Ramsey Road are in Onslow County's jurisdiction. Properties across Drummer Kellum are zoned single-family residential 20. Properties to the south are residential multifamily low density. That is the site of Country View Apartments and the new Harvest Meadows subdivision. And then the properties to the east that are in the city's jurisdiction are zoned single-family residential 20. Before you is the Camel land use plan that identifies all properties in this immediate area as low-density residential. Before you is the proposed rezoning, which would make the bulk of the property, the approximate 45 acres, residential multifamily low density, with a small swath of corridor commercial there at the corner of Ramsey Road and Drummer Kellum. At its December 11th, 2023 board meeting, the Planning Advisory Board, along with staff, has recommended approval of this request with findings of fact A through J being found in the affirmative, and that staff should be directed to update the CAMA future land use map. This rezoning advances the public interest by creating more development opportunities. Representatives from B&M Developers and Tidewater and Associates are in attendance, and they would, along with staff, would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Jeremy. At this time, I'll recess the regular council meeting and open the public hearing on this matter. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this matter? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing, and Councilor, you're being asked to consider the proposed zoning request. Got it?
I propose that we approve the rezoning request based on findings of fact A through J being found in the affirmative. If staff is directed to update the CAMA future land use map, the rezoning advances the public interest by creating more development opportunities.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. They drive me crazy here. Okay. All right, next we have some appointments that I'm going to make that are mayoral assigned appointments to different boards, and I'm going to go down, in case I've developed a bad case of memory here, help me, refresh me if I get them wrong, because I don't have a cheat sheet in front of me. To the Board Adjustment, Mayor Pro Tem Bittner, I believe you're going to resume your duties there. That Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee of Dr. Washington, Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee, Mr. Jackson, Plan Advisory Board, Mr. Sosa, Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, Councilmember Edwards, and Water and Sewer Advisory Committee. It kind of goes with the planning. We'll go back to Mr. Sosa. I think that's correct. Right?
You did good.
Mr. Warden, weren't you on?
Was he on water and sewer?
He's on he's on TAC, he's on all that kind of stuff, so he's got a kind of a full plate down there.
Look out for you, Mr. Warden.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's called Empire Building.
I wouldn't mind, if you could increase my pay, I wouldn't mind taking an additional job.
Well, I guess that's out of the question, right?
You
Okay.
did great, Mayor, thank you.
All right, we got it right then. Okay. I'm gonna put the report section up first, and we'll go from there. How's that?
That's fine. We don't expect any action by council in the
Okay.
personnel session. Close it out.
For me, I don't really have a report other than I finally got officially sworn in this evening earlier, and I feel so much better about that. Thank everybody that came out, and I want to especially thank the people that voted me into office, and I appreciate that. It took the time and trusted my judgment and my leadership enough to put me in for the 5th time as mayor. And we're going to keep the city moving forward. That's where we're going, straight ahead. And my old high school alma mater, where did you go to high school? That's my high school?
Forward ever,
Of course.
backwards.
Forward
Forward ever,
ever, backwards never.
There you go. That's what we're doing.
Cardinals speak.
Cardinals, yeah, go Cardinals. Okay, I'm gonna start, you're in.
I was misled. I didn't realize it was swearing in. I thought it was a swearing at, so.
Those
But
propositions.
but other than that, I have no other report. Thank you,
It would
sir.
probably been well-deserved had it been.
Save that for another.
Ms. Edwards.
No report, Mr. Mayor. Just Happy New Year to everyone. Glad to see everyone healthy and happy.
Dr. Washington.
No reports. Congratulations on your swearing in,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, congratulations on your swearing.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Sam, this makes you the longest serving mayor, won't it?
If
Or
I make
said
it
and
to
done.
the end.
There you go.
Y'all-
You gotta hold
y'all-
out 4 more years, right?
Y'all let me stay. Mayor Pro Tem Bittner.
I'd like to just congratulate Mr. Warden for adding to his budgeting empire. No other report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things we want to present back to the council that went on. One's today and one's just happened here in the last couple of weeks. We were able to host the Dr. Luther King Community March, which was also Peace and Unity. This was put on by the Keep and Dream Alive Committee. You'll see the estimates, over 300 people that showed up at City Hall and made the march to the courthouse. The festivities include being able to be together in the community and the discussion. You know, the part of the march is the community gathering together, which is fantastic for us as a community. We had city staff that participate every year. Pam Trafton is an active participant. Chief Yanero is consistently there, and then multiple members of the community that you'll see here with the pictures. Good weather day. Enough good weather day just to enjoy this time together. So I think this is an excellent event for the community in terms of recognizing some of the things that Mr. Jackson said before, recognizing the challenges and unifying together to present a cohesive effort moving forward. Awesome opportunity for the community to be active. And then, Mayor, the comment that you made earlier with Senator Lazara was fantastic, because tonight Senator Lazara is being recognized as the Jacksonville, Onslow, Sanders Ford Golden Eagle Man of the Year. So some of you may have got to speak to him earlier. He sat in the front row and then he left out after talking to some citizens. But unfortunately, you can't be there to appreciate that. But as multiple members of the council and the community have said, he is well deserving of this recognition. And I think they did an excellent job in selecting Senator Lazara as the Golden Eagle Man of the Year. So if you have an opportunity to say thank you to him, not just for the years that the mayor pointed out of his years of service, but this year has been a heck of a year for the senator, for the community, and I'd say for our local legislators. They've done a great job of bringing money back to Jacksonville and Onslow County. Hopefully they can maintain this over time. I think a lot of that goes to Senator Brown, who's still outside, but just all that momentum, the things that they're doing together, Senator Lazara is definitely deserving of that award. So congratulations to him. Thanks for making us get a picture, Mayor, so we could put it on here real quick, because without that, we'd have just had to stick with a picture of you. So thank you all. We weren't going to point that out, Mayor. That's the lighting. It's poor lighting in here. We're going to work on that.
That's true.
Poor light looks like excess lighting now to excess.
All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to personnel matters.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Okay.